Live from the heart of the Blue Ridge, Roanoke, Virginia. It's the Just Bernard Show with host Bernard Alvarez. Join Bernard as he shares topics that reveal the real matrix and empower your human experience, including world liberty, the esoteric, suppressed technologies, spiritual ascension, and human consciousness. Humanity has awakened, and our time has come to realize our full potential. And now, live from the Star City, your host, Bernard Alvarez.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Just Bernard Show. We are streaming on multiple platforms, and you should be able to be watching us live on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitch, and on my website. Anyway, so I'm really happy to be here this week. I believe we had to take off last week, so it's good to be back, and I'm glad to see everybody. So let me take a moment here and check with everybody, see if there are people here. Hi, Mandy. How are you? I wanted to wait a few minutes for people to be able to log on. I do have a special segment for you all today. As many of you know, I did the Awakening Code, the Awakening Code course. I guess I was trying to put those two words together. Back at the beginning of August. And as with most things with technology, and it seems I do it every time I do a live course, I seem to have corrupted one of the files. And so today I thought it would be a great idea for me to live record the segment that is missing from the course. So you will be able to get a little sample of what the course is all about. On that note, let me say hello to Vic on YouTube. Hi, Vic. Thanks for tuning in. And anyway, so yeah, I'm getting a little bit excited. I know I spoke about it maybe a couple weeks ago. It's the time of year where I like to take some time off. So yes, next Tuesday, there will not be a live show. If I can figure out how to use this new software, I will have it broadcast automatically, a show for everybody so we can stay on schedule. But if you have been on my Facebook page in the event section, you'll see we've got some really good shows coming up. When I return on, let's see, I'm pulling up my calendar here. On the 15th, we are going to, I think it's the 15th. I have to look on Facebook. I'm going to be doing a new segment. I've been trying to figure out a way to incorporate the tarot cards into my shows. I love the tarot cards. As you know, I do have the Tarot Master Course available on my website, but I've been wanting to figure out a way to do, I don't want to say tarot readings, but incorporate tarot into my show. So what I've decided to do, I had saw something somewhere, and it gave me this idea of reading entire signs of astrology, of the zodiac, using the cards. So I'm going to be doing what I call tarot astrology. So I believe on the 15th, I will be, testing that for the first time live with all of you, where I'll be doing a reading for each of the signs, utilizing my tarot cards. And yeah, of course, we'll talk a little bit more about the tarot on that show. And that should be on September 15th. And then, of course, September 22nd is the fall equinox. And yes, as usual, we will be doing a Mabon celebration here on the show. And let me see a few more people here on the chat. Hello, Terry on YouTube. Thanks for joining me today. Hi, Valerie on Facebook. Good to see you. I love this platform. I can see all the chats all at once. This is very cool. Anyway, So let me tell you, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Awakening Code. I know I've talked about it in the past, but since I'm going to share some of it with you today, the Awakening Code is it was an all-day event we did through my website through Zoom, and it was about a 5.5, 6 hour event. I believe it was about actually I think it was more than 6 hours. Um, and we covered a lot. Basically, it was I don't want to say it was geared for beginners, but it definitely was about the foundation of awakening, and it was geared toward um, clearing out, any obstacles or any, how shall I say, misunderstandings you might have about your own awakening. If you had any places that you might have any blockages, it incorporated all of the one-on-one sessions that I do with people. Usually, I like to start off with about five specific types of workings, energy workings I do on my clients when they start booking with me. I'll usually start off with a tarot reading to kind of see where everything's going. A lot of times they just want to skip over that. But we'll do everything from, I like to do past life regression on people. I like to make sure that people know how to uh, meditate correctly and understand consciousness and know what consciousness is. I like to do shamanic soul retrieval and past life curse removal. I like to do. I like to be able to connect them with their own spirit guides, so that way they can tap in to connecting and communicating with their guides. And so, over the course of 6 hours that one afternoon, uh, we had, I don't know, what, about 15, 20 people with us, maybe 15 people with us. And we went through all of those step by step. And one part of that is unlocking your intuition. And that is why I want to be able to share this with you. That was one of the segments that kind of got lost in the recording. I don't know if I forgot to press record or something, but when I went back to edit, it wasn't there. So I'm going to share with you the segment called, it's part 5 of the course, and it's the keys to unlocking your intuition. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into that. I'm hoping it's not going to take more than 20 minutes or so, and I will come back and answer any questions. Now that we're here live, I'll go ahead and answer any questions after we do the presentation. And so, without further ado, let me just do the little, oh no, I don't want that. Okay. Okay, and welcome back to the Awakening Code, Inner Alchemy for the 21st Century. We're going to dive right into part 5 right now, and this is the keys to unlocking your intuition. Now, the way that I've set this up in reference to the intuition, I'm doing this from my belief and my practice that your intuition is about developing a relationship with your intuition. And in order for us to be able to develop that relationship with our intuition, it's important that we do some housekeeping, and that involves different keys, kind of like what we're talking about here, different keys and tools that will allow you to develop a strong intuition and learn I guess the best way to say it, learn the contrast between what is your reactive mind, your ego mind, and when something is coming from your intuition. Many of us do have intuition. Unfortunately, actually, I believe all of us have intuition. I take that statement back. I believe everyone has an intuition. But unfortunately, due to society, religion, modern, public education or whatnot, it seems to be ignored and or is intentionally suppressed. I have a joke that it's maybe not a joke, that the greatest conspiracy of all time is the suppression of our human consciousness. And one of those is our ability to tap into our intuition. So how do we develop our relationship with our intuition. What are some of the steps that we need to take? And I believe one of those is to learn about our authentic self. What is our authentic self? Um, for me, the authentic self is the part of you that is, when we peel away all the layers, all the facades, all the social programming, all the familial programming, all the religious programming, all the political programming, when we peel that all away and we get to the essence of who we truly are, that may mean who we are as a soul, who we are as a spirit incarnate in a body, then we can, once we understand the characteristics of our authentic self, then yes, it'll be a lot easier to be able to communicate with your intuition, thus creating a greater ability to communicate with your higher self. I always say that the authentic self teaches us how to tap into our intuition, but it's our intuition that communicates with our higher self. It's our higher self that communicates with our source consciousness, which connects with source, God, goddess, whatever you want to call it. But it starts with unlocking and understanding our authentic self. So unfortunately, it's very common for us not to take the time to know ourselves very well. Um, we don't really invest much time in looking into our value system, who we are, what our innate beliefs are. Not necessarily what we were taught, but the innate beliefs as well as our innate gifts. What is important to you and what isn't? But what's really important to you and what really isn't? Things that perhaps you think should be important to you but aren't, and things that you know are important to you but you kind of brush aside. When we do not take the steps to cultivate this idea of who we truly are, it's very easy for us to get swayed. We can get swayed into belief systems. We can get swayed into a direction or a path in life that's not necessarily for us, for our innate being, our infinite being, our true being, our authentic self. For example, maybe you have a parent who, actually, this is my story. Maybe you have a parent that wants you to be a lawyer and knows you should be a lawyer. You're going to make a great lawyer, but you don't know what's required to be a good lawyer. You don't know how your own strengths compare to that. And you might blindly, get on the path to become a lawyer, only to find out later, after all those years of study, all that tuition and those student loans, that being a lawyer just isn't right for you. The thing is, the stronger the delivery of the message, the more likely you're going to adopt it. And where is that message coming from? As well, we see this when it comes to joining a community group or working at a particular job, joining a political party, joining a religion, joining a school group. It's important for us when we do this. That's not to say that we need to avoid all of these, but it's important that we have that relationship with our authentic self, that we can see and sense if this environment, that group, that party, that religion is a true reflection of who you truly are. Who you truly are in your heart and in your soul. One of the other keys that I like to offer when it comes to developing our relationship with our intuition as well as our authentic self, and this probably leans more toward developing the relationship with our authentic self, is to have a clear vision of our life and our career, or your calling, or whatever terminology you like to use. When we have a clear vision on who we are and what we are being called to do, it's very hard to be swayed from it. Many years ago, I when I had my awakening, my moment, which is all in the Book of One in 1992, my guides literally said to me, "It is your role, it is your job to go back to Earth and show everyone the way back to Source." However, I interpreted that. I'm doing it now. This is the way I interpret that calling. But for years, I put it aside because I felt it's not what I'm supposed to. It's not what my parents want me to do. It's not what my training, with Paul Mitchell. I used to work for Paul Mitchell. That's not what we don't do that. Working for a big company like that. Even though I do think it's a great company, but that's a whole nother story. But it was very easy for me to put that on the back burner, even though I knew this is what I was called to do. But I was living a life that I didn't feel was authentic. Now, when we don't live a life that's authentic, a lot of times we can bring in some unhealthy habits. And I'll leave it at that. One day I'll go into that a little bit more. But if we don't have a vision, we become vulnerable to be swayed. Again, it's very easy to be swayed by particularly charismatic leaders. We see that happening everywhere right now, whether they're religious leaders, political leaders, people following blindly because they have no relationship with their authentic selves. In turn, they have no way to hear their intuition or have how shall I say, the courage to follow their intuition, what their intuition is telling them. In turn, cognitive dissonance abounds in today's world. So it's important for us to be discerning and curious. More often than not, we don't really think much about our lives. We wait until something is obviously going wrong before we stop and we realize that something has to change. It takes a shakeup for us to snap out of it, so to speak. Um, One of my least favorite tarot cards and one of my favorite tarot cards are one and the same, the Tower card. The Tower card for me represents getting the rug pulled out from under you. You lose your job, you lose your family, maybe not all at once, but you lose your career, you lose your home. Everything that was your foundation that you built gets taken away, but that sometimes can be one of the most freeing experiences. And as someone who has lived through that, uh, if it wasn't for that Tower card chapter of my life, I wouldn't be here. But I didn't have to be. I didn't have to wait for that Tower card to hit me in my mid 30s, I guess, early 30s, if I was paying attention. If I wasn't waiting for something to happen, rather than putting it off, we can start making it a practice to think about our life and career. I remember as a child, I used to daydream about, oh, I don't know, what did I want to be when I was a child? Actually, I wanted to be a psychologist when I was a little kid. I wanted to be a psychologist. I wanted to be a counselor. I wanted to be a priest. Well, now I am a priest, not a Catholic priest. Now I am a counselor, not a psychology counselor. I'm a spiritual counselor, and I'm a pagan priest. But growing up, I didn't know that those options were available to me. The point is that daydreaming of who we were drawn to be as a child, what inspired us. Some kids wanted to be an astronaut. Maybe you wanted to be an astronaut when you were a little kid. How many of those childhood dreams have you put aside because life got in the way, or you were told you can't do it, or the economic situation didn't allow for it, or whatnot? We ended up putting these obstacles in our place, even though our heart and our intuition was pushing us in that direction. So it's important to allow ourselves to have that curiosity, that childlike awe, and that childlike wonder for us, for our lives. And in doing so, we open ourselves up to our intuition. Another tool that is important in developing this relationship and unlocking our intuition is to be open, but to be grounded. Being open is one thing. Being open to possibilities, being open to new ideas, new concepts, new speakers, new leaders, new teachers, new politics, new religions, new spirituality. That's all wonderful. But again, if we are not grounded, we can be easily swayed. We can get pulled in and lose ourselves in these new ideas and these new concepts. If we don't keep ourselves grounded and be discerning as to the information that we are seeking, we'll take, again, we fall into that cycle of being a blind follower of a philosophy, a leader, a religion, or a lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, or however it may apply to you. It's important to seek out new information, but we must stay grounded as we digest it. As someone who went through the whole rabbit hole experience back in the early 2000s, that geopolitical awakening and whatnot, I would go down these rabbit holes and I would believe it as I read. Oh, well, see, well, that means that. And yeah, well, so and so wrote that, so that must mean it's true. No. When I reconnected with my authentic self, I remembered the words that Joseph Campbell said in one of his lectures. I was lucky enough to have Joseph Campbell's Harvard lectures broadcast on our local access cable channel. Remember local access cable? And he would talk about how, and I've said this 1,000 times, so I won't go into the whole story anecdote, but he says that I don't have faith, I have experience. And remembering all that I've experienced spiritually made me realize that it's about my experience. If I'm not there to see it, it's hearsay. If I am not sensing it, it's just my mind talking me into believing it. So, let's be blunt. The reality of it is all the news we hear, see, read is all really us accepting it as truth. If we're not there to see it, if we're not there to experiencing it. Now, yes, there are some people I would trust. When my friend says that she had these tall blonde beings, land in a field in a spaceship, and they took her aboard that ship, I actually believe her because I trust her, and the experience is something that I can relate to because I've had a similar experience on an etheric level. We need to focus on the things that truly interest us. And it's important for us to acknowledge if we are being pulled or swayed by something. We can use that as a sign to dig deeper into it. But as we dig deeper into it, let us remember to be discerning. We have to go beyond the surface when sifting through the information. We must dig deeper. The bottom line is that it's very easy to get lazy about staying true to ourselves and doing the work that keeps us from being brainwashed by others. It's part of the human being, it's part of human nature to want to be included. It's part of human nature to want to feel like we're a part of something. But the more that we agree with those around us, the more likely we're going to be considered a part of the group. And that may be good or that may be bad, depending on those around us and what the group stands for. The key is to be aware before it's happening. That is where intuition comes in. And I will bet you 99% of the time, our intuition will throw red flags in our path. We'll get an inkling of something not quite right, but we do it anyway because my friends are doing it, my family's doing it, the TV says I should do it, Facebook says I should do it, all the people in that Facebook group are doing it, whatever it may be. But it's important that we begin to trust our intuition. How do we do that? Well, it's important that we spend time getting connected to ourselves. For me, that means I do something called Me Day. Me Day is no phone, no internet. I will putz around the house. If I want to lay on my recliner all day long and watch Netflix, that's what I'm going to do. If I just feel like wandering around my yard and, I don't know, looking at the weeds, I'm going to do it. It's no, for me, that means a nothing on my schedule day. It means nothing that I have to do. That throughout that day, I am going to be free and I'm going to do exactly what I want when I want it. I'm not going to answer emails. I'm not going to answer the phone. I'm not going to answer messages. And I'm just going to do what I feel like doing. That's how I connect with myself. And it's at those moments that I have the greatest aha moments. It's at those moments that I get those spontaneous, what we call downloads, this enormous amount of intuitive information starts to come through. It's in those moments that I meditate longer than 5 minutes. It's at those moments where I am nurturing my relationship with my intuition and with my authentic self. Quiet time is also very helpful for that. A lot of times we have noise going on all the time. We have to have the TV on, we have to have the radio on because we don't want to be alone with our thoughts. But we have to ask ourselves, why don't we want to be alone with our thoughts? And if we do not want to be alone with our thoughts, it is our responsibility to reprogram that, to change the channel, to change the chatter that's going on. And your intuition can help you do that. Your intuition does help you do that. We need to recognize when we get those negative, unwanted patterns of thought. We need to work toward gaining control of our thoughts. And I don't mean in a resistive kind of way. Thoughts are going to happen. And the more you're going to resist a thought stream, the more it's going to hit you in the head. What I mean by gaining control of our thoughts is gaining the control of the thought stream. Think of it almost as a rudder on a ship. That river is flowing, and you're on that boat. And that current is going to take you in one direction or the other. So it's ridiculous to try to swim upstream. However, you have control of the rudder. Is it going to go a little bit to the left? Is it going to go a little bit to the right? Are you going to be able to go around that pile of rocks? Think of your thought stream that way. Guide it in another direction. You don't resist the thoughts, but know that you have the ability to guide the thought stream. And if you don't know how to do it, learn, practice. I'm hoping some of what we're talking about here is helping you with that. And one of those is to just be the observer. I know that sounds hard and it sounds cliche, but it's true. We talked about it during the first part of this course of how we can be the observer of our thoughts. And it's important that we utilize that exercise that I offered you earlier and utilize that on a regular basis. I do believe that the more, just like learning the violin, just like learning how to speak a language, the more we practice, the more proficient we're going to become at that. And when we practice that, going between the thoughts meditation and being the observer of the thoughts, the more we do that, the easier it will come to us. Another way is to step back in our mind and actually literally listen. Just let the noise, let the chatter happen. Listen and notice whether the thoughts that are coming up are a help or a hindrance. Sometimes our intuition is yelling at us. Sometimes our intuition is in that stream of consciousness and it's saying to you, well, you don't like this. Why are you doing it? Well, you don't like this. Why are you doing it? And then, there's that part of you, that insecure part of you, and I'm referring to me because I still struggle with this. There's that little guilty part of us that says, oh, but it's wrong for me not to want to do that. I should want to go to my step aunt, uncle's, cousin's birthday party because it's duty. That's what we do. But it's your only day off. You don't want to go. You shouldn't go. But I should go. And see what I'm doing there? Be aware of what your gut is telling you. Be aware of the thought frames and notice those little differences of helpful versus harmful thoughts. Sometimes being selfish is the best thing you can do. And yes, sometimes you do have a responsibility to your family. Of course you do. And then listening to our inner voice. What is your inner voice? I'm going to get into that in just a minute. But as an observer, when we're alone, we need to create space to listen to that inner voice. And that inner voice is going to come to you in the silence between the thoughts. When you're calm, when you are relaxed, you will find that inner voice. And sometimes that inner voice will scream at you. Our life direction is our life direction is a reflection of our subjective belief structure. Let me say that again. Our life direction is a reflection of our subjective belief structure that is operating within a larger objective framework of reality. So we need to be aware when it comes to intuition, when it comes to our authentic self, there's outer, there's way out there, there's around, and then there's within. And then there's our subjective reality that we are perceiving. All of those have a role in developing our relationship with our intuition. Each of those have a specific frequency. Each of those have a specific way they make you feel. Each of those communicate to you. A lot of times we think that communication comes from our eyes, our ears, our nose. But a lot of times it has to do with our emotional body, how our emotions, I don't want to say react, but respond to it. Some of it has to do with our physical body, which I'm going to get into in just a minute. So kind of notice the subtle differences of how again, we repeat that. I have to repeat it myself. How our life path is a direct reflection of our subjective belief structure that is operating within the larger objective framework of reality. This is the ultimate feedback mechanism, just as I described earlier. Be aware of it. It's a cosmic mirror. As above, so below, as within, so without. Once we begin and have the courage to explore this concept, we can begin to consciously change the parts of which we want to, in order to align with our higher self, align with our intuition, align with our authentic self. Now, as I said at the beginning, intuition is within everybody. I do not believe it is something that is only for those that are born psychic or anything like that. I do believe it's a part of our innate abilities as human beings, spirits within a physical body. The definition of intuition is the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. So in saying that, everything that I've just described, everything that we've just covered, all these little tools, all these little tricks are intended to help you to see the difference. Are you feeling it instinctually, or is it programming, or is it coming from an external source? Is it reactive, or is it bubbling up from within? Remember, it is instinctive, without the need for conscious reasoning. We make decisions through feeling it. Now, feeling it is with air quotes. Feeling it doesn't necessarily mean through our emotions. Feeling it is sensing it. It's for me. It's almost this sense of, well, I'm holding myself here in my heart. I feel it in my heart. I know it. I know it in my heart. A lot of people say it's the gut. For me, it's my heart. Some people, it is the gut. For me, it's my heart. I can sense it. Uh, when it's positive, I feel it in my heart. When it's negative, it depends. Sometimes it's in my stomach. We're going to get into that in just a second because I do want to go a little bit deeper. Um, it's without an analytical thought. This is something that science has had trouble quantifying, so we have to be okay with it if we are going to allow it to develop. Some things are just. I like I believe it was Aleister Crowley that used the definition that magic is science. Science that has not yet been discovered, and I truly believe that of intuition. Um, and everything that we talk about, basically. The truth of the matter is, everyone has intuition, and it is only through practice that we can access it and use it for everyday decisions. Have you ever had a feeling when you walk into a room and you just get a feeling about something or somebody or the place in general? That's your intuition. Uh, it's funny for me. It was almost the opposite. I don't know if that makes sense. Uh, in in Buddhism, I believe it's in Buddhism. It's either Buddhism or Taoism. I've studied both, and there's something called the Wu. And the Wu is the I love that term. We used to make fun of the woo woo woo. Anyway, the Wu was the energy of the room, and I remember saying that when I had a very dear friend of mine that, me and my group of spiritual practitioners, we'd be sitting there meditating, relaxing, and peaceful. And I had a dear friend that would walk in and was like, la, 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 and just take over the space and want your attention and just really. I used to say to her, "You're screwing with the woo. You can call it the vibe, but it's very real." And the opposite is true also. When you walk in a room, you're sensing the woo. Is there a specific energy going on that you don't like? Is there a specific energy that you do like? That is your instinct. Listen to it. The same thing goes for watching something on television. Same thing goes for seeing something on Facebook. The same thing goes for walking into a church or walking into a school or walking into a friend's home. I'm sure you have experienced something similar to this. I use the body, at least I did in the very beginning. One of the ways that I was taught to be able to tap into my intuition was to pay attention to the body. What is the body telling you? To take it a step further, your body for me, the body is an antenna, and it's this wonderful machine. It's this amazing machine with electricity going through it, and muscles, and molecules, and enzymes, and amino acids, and bones, and it's an amazing machine. It also has a central nervous system. Why do we have a central nervous system? I'm acting like I'm waiting for you to respond. Our central nervous system works on many different levels and for many different reasons. But in this particular case, as I'm talking about it when it comes to intuition, your central nervous system is a great way to learn to develop a relationship with your intuition. And it's different for everybody. Your central nervous system may react a certain way for certain things, and mine might do it a little bit differently. But for me, I always found that when something was not good for me, for example, when something was not good for me, I would find my body constricting. my muscles would tighten up, my chest would close up, my jaw might even start to grind or something like that. Um, it- and that could be walking into a specific environment. That could be me being told something. Now, don't get me wrong. There is fear, and there's a reason for fear. Sometimes, yes, your central nervous system is going to let there's a lion around the corner and he's going to eat you, so you better run. Or there's a murderer around the corner or a mugger around the corner. Yeah, you're going to get that tenseness. But I would say, all in all, in our day-to-day lives, um, our central nervous system constricts when it's our intuition trying to tell us something. For me, the same thing goes for the opposite. Is it expansive? Am I feeling relaxed when I hear it? A great example, I'll give you a really good example. Last year, I was invited to the Spirit Heart Cruise. I was a speaker for this spiritual, 10-day seminar at sea type thing. And I had never been on a cruise. And the idea of going out of the country and out into the ocean was really nerve-wracking for me and created a lot of anxiety for me. However, the anxiety was not a bad anxiety. It was almost it was an expansive anxiety, if that makes sense. I was like being pulled toward it, even though it made me nervous and maybe gave me a little bit of butterflies. I was really happy about it, and I could feel my chest like, I'm going on a cruise, even though I've never left the United States. It was the first time I left the United States, actually. But so that is a good example of a good way for me to tell the difference between anxiety, but yet paying attention and acknowledging the expansiveness of the central nervous system versus the constriction. It's important for us it is my feeling that it's important for us to actually take time and to develop this relationship with our intuition. One of the many ways is to just ask your intuition, what do you want me to know? Go into a nice little meditation. And we're going to cover that in just a few moments here in the class. But it's just as easy to take a moment throughout our day, and especially if you're being put into a situation where a decision needs to be made, or you perhaps don't really have the answer, or perhaps you're in a place of anxiety and you do need to make a decision. You're allowed to ask for your intuition for guidance. You're allowed to ask your intuition to tell you what you need to do. The key is to pay attention. Well, everybody, that lasted much longer than I thought. I'm going to go ahead and step over to the chat. Let's see if I can say hello to a few of you before we go. Wow, lots and lots of discussion going on. Great. So I did see a question here, and I did want to answer. It's Eric Nolan on Facebook, asking me what am I using to simulcast to YouTube, Facebook. It's Restream, and it also has the ability to read all the chats at once. Hi, Claudio from Brazil on Facebook. Hi, hello, Pia on YouTube. Hi, Paul on Twitter, Periscope. Oh, we have someone from Cape Town. Hello, Teresa on Facebook. Wonderful. Veronica, Gabriel, Champagne, Sandra, Joanne, Julie, Sandra. Boy, Facebook's being very chatty. Hi, guys. Anyway, if you have any questions, put them in real quick because we're going to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that Aloha, Marian from Hawaii on Facebook. Hi. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this gives you some information, some inspiration, and perhaps maybe some tools that you can take with you. This will be left up on Facebook. This will be, I guess, the free sample of the Awakening Code course. I'm going to leave up. I'll probably share it on my. I'll probably share it on my website as well on the Awakening Code page. Yes, this is a part of a long, I like 9-part series. I think it's like a 5-hour. When it comes without all the edits, it's going to be about 5 hours long. The Awakening Code, Inner Alchemy for the 21st Century. Talked about it a little bit at the beginning. This is one of the topics that I cover as well. I take people through specific energy and alchemical working, everywhere from past life regression, soul retrieval, introducing them to their spirit guides, as well as going between the thoughts and everything that we talked about here. Oh, and we do actually do Reiki healing during the course as well. So you get treatments and you learn something all at the same time. But that course will be out in fall. I'm hoping it'll be done. I was hoping it was going to be done at the end of September. And now looking at my schedule, I doubt it. Hopefully by the middle of October, it should be available to everybody. But this was literally just one part of it. And I want you guys to check it out if you're up to it and you want to take a 5-hour course with me. Thoughts manifest reality. Yes, I agree. Chris on Facebook, do thoughts manifest reality? There's a lot of ways of looking at that. Do thoughts manifest reality? The way that we're thinking and feeling at any particular moment is going to be our reality for that particular moment. As well, our thoughts are energy, and when we release that energy, I firmly believe in the karma of thought and thought energy. We're creating thought forms, and those thought forms are going to make energetic ripples, and those energetic ripples eventually come back to us. It's not negative, it's not positive. Karma's not negative, it's just a universal setting. Manny says, I used to have amazing intuition and connection. My camera's in the way. Excuse me. I'm going to move this. Yeah, I'm going to be crooked for a second. Used to tell me that the intuition I had about him was wrong when it was, and messed it up. Oh, so he took away your confidence in it? Well, reclaim that confidence. Thank you, Marian. I'm glad you liked it. How do we unblock it? Again, step by step. It's just like, well, for me, a good example is, well, something that you used to do as a kid that you don't do anymore. It's like anything. If you put down, if you were proficient in the violin in college, and you put it down and you haven't picked it up in 25 years, yeah, you're going to be rusty when you pick it up again. But at least you have the basics still. So you have the foundation. So go ahead and start playing, no matter how scratchy it might be. Just practice. Just practice small steps, baby steps, until you can get back to the big steps. It's it's about reclaiming that relationship with your intuition and being confident and being trusting of that relationship. You know, when I say relationship, one of the things I want to point out, your relationship with your intuition is just like any other relationship. You either have healthy relationships or you have unhealthy relationships. And the healthiest relationships you have are those that you trust. So you're not going to have a healthy relationship with your intuition if you don't trust it. How do we develop that trust? By trusting it a few times and letting it prove to you that it's working and that it's right. So by all means. Anyway, guys, listen, I hope that helps, and I hope that today's show helped out. I am going to be again. I want to remind everybody, starting this weekend, I will be going on vacation for a week, so there may not be a show next week. If I do, it will be a repeat. I will not be taking clients. I will not be answering emails starting Saturday for 10 days. It's gonna be me time, and I'm gonna spend some time with family, which I haven't had a chance to do at all this year. Now that the restrictions are coming up a little bit, I can actually travel a little bit and go see some family. But again, after that, I will be back on the show on the 2 weeks from today, on the 15th, and we'll be trying out that new method I'm going to be doing with the tarot astrology, and let's see how good I am at reading all the signs live using my tarot cards. Anyway, everybody, I love you all. Have a wonderful, well, if I don't see you next week, have a wonderful week. Maybe I'll do a live stream on vacation and just say hi. But if I don't hate me. I love you and think of you guys, well, every day. You're a part of my life. And I thank you for that. Have a good one. Bye bye.